paper and getting them into tiny squares. I sort of pre-cut the squares already. But the great thing about this is that you don't need them to be perfect squares, so you don't have to like take a ruler out or make sure that they're really straight. In fact, like the more wonky the shape, the better. And you can actually make them like on purpose, different shapes. So you're just gonna take your construction paper, you can pile up a few pieces, whatever feels right, and just cut a few strips. Again, you can make it all different sizes. And then you can just cut them into squares. And then again, you can also cut them into triangles too, or other shapes. Just on an angle like that. Whoops. They'll go flying. And then and there you go. And so I have, you can also do these into any sort of formation that you want. The earliest known mosaics were found in Mesopotamian temple dating back to the 3rd millennium BC, and those were made up of ivory and seashells and stones. And then they also were typically seen in Catholic basilicas and Islamic mosques. So in the Islamic mosques, those are really, really geometric. So you can do something geometric or abstract, or you can do something more realistic. Some of the ones in the old like churches were just these gorgeous, realistic scenes from the Bible. So yeah, you can choose kind of either way. So basically I already kind of drew out as a guide, just a light sketch of my lion that I'm going to do today, and I just recommend that so you know sort of where you're going. And you can do more you can even like write notes because of like what colors you want. You can make it really planned out before you start gluing things down. But you don't have to. You can kind of just experiment and go for it. That's what I tend to do. Luckily with glue sticks, it's not like permanent, so you can always kind of, if something doesn't look right, you can always sort of take it up and repaste. So we're gonna go back down to my page here. So I typically like to start sort of from the center and go out. So I'm gonna use this really nice pale yellow, and again what I would do is sort of just start to like see what you might need to cut. So some of these might be a little bit too big, and you do want to, I think the great thing about a lot of the mosaics that I've seen is that there's always a little bit of space, right? They're not right up next to each other. And again, also see, this is also like a nice place where when you have like a space here, you might want different shapes to make it out. So I'm gonna just start gluing this down, and as I glue down, I'll tell you a little bit more fun facts about mosaics. During the Middle Ages, mosaics were central to Byzantine art, actually, and they actually added gold leaf to the mosaics, which made them really a lot more intricate and whatnot. And then I thought it was really interesting that the Renaissance artists basically rejected this. I don't know if they just were too good for mosaics, but they pretty much just rejected. And then modernists like Gaudi, like the piece that I showed you before, kind of reclaimed the art, and it then just became something that people were doing again. But yeah, in the Renaissance, they were too good for mosaics. I'm not sure why. Just a fun fact. So yeah, so as I was doing this, I realized I sort of wanted, so see, like this piece I put down, and it kind of feels too big. So you can just remove it as long as it's not like days later. I mean, even days later with the glue stick, you can probably remove it. But yeah, so getting like smaller pieces is totally doable on some. So it is sort of like a labor intensive, even with construction paper. And I love kind of doing this activity, especially when you see these bigger mosaics, whether I think we actually have some mosaic murals here in Milwaukee. You can kind of see just how much time goes in. So even with just your construction paper and glue stick, it's like it's definitely labor intensive. But just imagine that you're using stones or glass. First of all, you'd have to sand down probably like glass pieces or ceramic pieces, but then also the type of glue that you need and getting it just right, and the planning, especially the piece I showed you from Barcelona, Spain by Gaudi. That entire park is just made of mosaics, and I just imagine it took a very, very long time to get that created and to plan that all out. So this is a really nice activity to do if you've got time, and it's sort of just like therapeutic to just keep gluing these small pieces down. Again, some of these are getting a little bit too big. And a nice thing about mosaics, so we have a lot of murals in the city as well. The cool thing about the mosaics is that they're a little bit more durable. Like I said, like I think the earliest known mosaic was found in a Mesopotamian temple. So it stood the test of time. So this is something that when you're using especially like natural materials, and as long as it's not, I think, like by an ocean or something, or it doesn't get completely cracked or something, it really it can last a pretty long time, whereas paint breaks down. So that's sort of the benefit of doing. I think the mural that I showed you from Philadelphia is still up and looks great. And Lily Yeh is an artist that I really love. She does a lot of mosaics. She's done it around all over the world, actually, with kids and people of all ages. I guess that's like, once you have all the materials, it is something that anyone can kind of do. Obviously, it takes a little bit of, need to give instruction to probably the younger kids on where to go. But I've done actually this project with this construction paper with, I think, like 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders, and they like blew my mind. They didn't. they were doing some real high level stuff. So yeah, so as you can see, I'm just doing this one layer. Once you get other colors in here, it will stop popping a lot more. And I will do, when I'm doing the main, I actually will introduce a lot more colors. I just kind of wanted this face on the inside to be just a kind of a plain yellow here. And I'm gonna cut some more of this yellow. I just like lions. That's why I decided to do it. I thought it was Leo season, but not quite. Just something fun and bright. And also, you can also, I mean, you're more than welcome to, like, again, you can do any shape, whether it's, you know, squares or triangles, or I'm doing, I guess, more rectangles as well. And you can overlap. I'm trying to actually not overlap here, and see this piece I just decided I didn't like, but it doesn't really matter because I'm just gonna cover it up again. So, that's again the great thing about using glue sticks is it's not necessarily forever. Oh, and I lost my train of thought as I was decided I hated that piece of paper that I put down. But you can also use circles. I actually was looking at, when I was looking for examples to show, I saw some, or even just looking up the ones from some of the churches, which were just this, like, I don't know, Google mosaics and like Catholic basilicas, because they are truly truly amazing. But they had like circles, so then I was sort of excited because I was like, ooh, okay, maybe you can cut something that's more circular, and then that way, and you know, so then I can like cheat for the eyes here. And I actually may. And you can also, the good thing about also using construction paper is that you can kind of, you can layer in a way where it might not be as easy to do it with, you know, glass or, but I think I have also seen that. So I'm gonna sort of layer here for the eyes, because why not? So this is kind of, it's also a lot, this is obviously a lot more like a collage that you would do, but using a mosaic technique. So I always just like to experiment, and anyone who is maybe newer to art, like nothing that you're gonna do is wrong. Just play around and have fun. That's the point. If you're not having fun making art, I feel like that might be wrong, but I don't know. I'm not gonna say. I don't know. Maybe you want. But yeah. But this is for fun. It doesn't have to be perfect. So yeah, now we're starting to kind of see it come together, which is always the fun part. I feel like you put the first few pieces down and you're like, I'm not sure about this, but then it comes together. So the fun part is, especially in some of the other the mosaics I've seen, is that there's just a lot of different colors. So I wanted to make the main super colorful and have all sorts of different colors in here. So I'm gonna start spreading out just so you can kind of see more of where this is going and how it's going to look like, or what it's going to look like at the end, because I don't know that we have time for me to glue every piece down. That might take way longer, and I'll run out of fun things to say. I could just start like telling jokes, but that could be you might not be interested in my jokes. Yeah, and everyone's technique is different. So sometimes I just sort of like doing the piece by piece. Some people really want to you might be the type where you need to map this out. You do not want to glue anything down before you've seen it. I think both are are totally fine. It's just sort of what you want to do. If you're doing something bigger, even like this, it might be nice to figure out where you want to go, especially like wanting to get more colors involved. You might see at the end that you need to shift. Like I only put one brown here, and I don't know if I even like this brown color. I brought some construction paper and then Arts at Large, which I'm assuming is you have. You've got fancy construction paper, which I'm assuming are in your bags too, which is great. And so I got really excited about this paper instead. Yeah, and then I think I'm gonna actually, there's some like really nice, there's a nice pink color that I wanted to. So again, then you're like, okay, see, that's a little dull for me. Then you bring in another color. I also just like this because I can't really cut a straight line. So this is nice because you really don't have to worry about that. Also, I was thinking about how you could maybe do this more like with other objects too, because like again, traditionally that's like more natural products that you use for mosaics. But you can also, I feel like you could use like also like other household objects, like I don't know, beads if you have them, or buttons if you. I've some, like for some reason, collect bottle caps and don't do anything with them. So like it could be a fun bottle cap, a mosaic that you have, like, you know, anything. And you would just need probably tougher glue than a glue stick. Glue sticks are pretty much only good for paper. But once you master construction paper mosaics, I challenge you to graduate to something more 3D. But I just love using, I mean, I love collaging, which also that you could use magazines too if you wanted to, and cut up squares and just have different textures within the photos and whatnot. So yeah, I just encourage everyone to just get creative as we're still sort of staying at home and can't maybe go out as much as we used to, or just things are just canceled, right? Just why not get creative?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think I am just going to continue to put these down so you can just sort of see it develop, and I'll try to make it so you can see the nose and whatnot. I don't, like I said, I don't think I'm gonna glue these all down for you. I'm sure you're all expert gluers. I think the only other thing I would say, like I'm seeing on mine, that I can see some of the pencil marks. So again, when you start, just make, I did this really lightly, so I should be able to easily erase my pencil marks if you haven't covered them with your paper. So don't worry. If you can see them, you can do that at the end. I should have been like looking to see if I had like anyone I knew following. I did to prepare. I don't do a lot of live things. It makes me incredibly anxious. So I'm doing this special because I really appreciate what ARTS4ALL is doing. But I did do a practice on, I have a Latina artist collective called Luna. So I did a little plug on our Instagram right outside just to prep me for doing something live. So go check us out, Luna MK Official, both on Facebook and Instagram. Might as well plug my stuff while I have you captivated, right? But yeah, we're a Latina artist collective. We are about 35 artists. I actually am, if you go back or maybe we can flip when I'm done to say goodbye, I am wearing a shirt by one of our artists, and I'm wearing earrings. So there's an artist that do it all. So yeah, check us out. And I think, yeah, I'll just do a little bit more just so you can kind of see the final, what would be a final product if what we really wanted to like bore you and watch me glue all of these pieces down. And again, you can, like, it's sort of up to your discretion of whether you want to do them like super close or have them kind of far apart. I've definitely seen mosaics that have like a lot of kind of space in between the pieces that they use. So up to you kind of what your aesthetic is, like, and I kind of am doing both here. I guess you can see, oh yeah, look, that looks, I was only looking down. It looks better on camera. I feel like art is always one of those cool things when you start. Sometimes, again, you kind of are like, where am I going? This is, I'm not sure. But then at the end, you're like, oh yeah, it's a thing. I made a thing. And it's great. But yeah, as I keep saying, like, this would take a fairly long time to glue down. But again, it's a really, I know it's starting to get nice out, but it's a really good activity. We've also had a lot of rain, right? So when it starts thundering, this can be an ongoing project for when it starts thundering and we can't have to go back inside.
Coming along. I like it.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think I'll probably stop there, but and we can see. I feel like it looks pretty good. Again, I think it looks really great on camera. I'm really, it's got a look. But yeah, and again, like we can play with layering. That's the thing with construction paper. You can play around and you have maneuver it a little bit easier than if you were working with glass, which you would need like a glass cutter. So we didn't want to get into all that. But yeah, so just have fun with it. Keep exploring, do something, try to do something more realistic, try to do a geometric shape. The great thing too about this is that, you know, one piece of paper makes so many of these tiny squares and triangles. So yeah, it's a fun activity. Thanks for joining. I hope you had some fun watching. And again, I think this is a great activity for anyone. You can be real small or really old. It's an activity for any age, any level. And it's like, again, a nice, long but simple activity. Oh yeah, thanks. So these are my earrings, Rami & Co. Earrings. I realized I have like 13 pairs, so check them out before I buy them all. And then Heroine Illustration is my shirt, but again, actually we feature both of those artists on our page. Again, Luna MK Official. Check us out. I'm Katie Avila Loughmiller, and my Instagram and Facebook is Katie Avila, so check me out as well, and I hope we can all see each other soon in real life sometime. All right, thanks everyone.